Hey everybody, what's up? WiiMike here, and today we are going to be talking about some of the announcements from this year's E3 press conference. Now guys, I don't know when this video comes out if E3 2019 will be over or will be about ready to wrap up. I'm not sure. So in today's video we are going to talk about some of the major announcements and some of the highlights from this year's E3 press conference. So to get things started, guys, I'm going to do a little something different here. There are actually more interesting stuff at this year's E3 than in the past years for me. So I thought I covered more stuff this year of E3 than just Nintendo stuff like I have done in the past. So to get started, guys, today we are going to talk about the Xbox's newest Xbox coming out sometime next year. 2020, I believe. I think it's either fall or summer 2020. I'm sorry, I actually forget what the project's name was. Scorpion was their last project, I believe. But anyway, their new one's coming out, and the new one is supposed to have 8K resolution. Supposed to be cloud gaming, where allegedly you don't need to have disc anymore. You can just download the game. I guess buy and just download the game digitally instead of needing a physical disc. I can imagine it's gonna probably have more storage to store all those games since they're now going digital. A new streaming service that's supposed to be coming out, which is going to be pretty interesting, I believe. And I forget what the other thing was on it, but I mean, there's just so much here with the Xbox that's interesting about their latest project. But I mean, I gotta be honest here, guys. It's definitely interesting that they're coming out with a new console. But my concern about the whole thing is the price, because they're gonna have 8K resolution. Probably more storage. Everything's gonna be now possibly in a cloud, new streaming service. I'm just curious to see what the price will be on something like this, because I'm sure, unlike the other consoles, this one's gonna be a little bit more pricey. I can't imagine it's gonna be like I think it was $399 one time, I think the console was, or $350, I'm not quite sure. But I know the console was between, I think, $300 and $400 the one time. And I think some of the consoles actually were below $300 one time, but I think that was for a promotion. I'm not quite sure. But I can only imagine if you're going to have all that stuff, that it's going to be more than the standard price for an Xbox. But I gotta be honest with you, it sounds like it's gonna have a lot more potential. They said it's supposed to be a slimmer, I believe, design, supposed to be, I think, easier to carry. I'm not quite sure. I think it's supposed to have a better processor as well, so the loading times will be a lot better than they currently are, which I would love to see personally, because I mean, I don't think some of the loading times are bad, but I haven't not played some of the hotter games where a lot of people are more involved in it, so I'm not sure how those loading times are. But for the games I know I play, I don't think the loading time's too bad. But if we can get the loading times down, I think that would be a better solution. But the question is, to me, is how's this processor going to make all this possible? And that would be interesting to see in this latest release of the newest Xbox, how that is going to work. The other thing that concerns me is it seems like they keep making more Xboxes and releasing them every year with either new features or better processors. And that's not the problem for me. Let me clarify that. That's not a problem that has a better processor and stuff. It's the part where it's a console that's going to probably have more memory. It's going to have 8,000 resolution, which, me personally, I don't need an 8K resolution, but I'm sure there are people out there that want that 8K, but I sure don't want the 8K, so that's a waste right there for me. But I'm sure there are other gamers who want it, so I mean, to me, it's not worth that. The streaming service, I'm sure that's going to be built nice for that one, so it will be interesting to see how that works. But I just think to keep making more Xboxes with new and better features is just crazy. I think the 4K, and I'm hoping now that I'm talking about this, I'm hoping I'm not wrong here, but I think they already have Xboxes with 4K, and if they don't, it's either this next one they're making is going to have it, or the 4K is already done and they're already getting on to 8K, which I think's, my personal opinion, I think it's a money racket, but I won't get into that. But I mean, it's better resolution, so I guess there's something to it. But to me, it's just a little bit, you know, it's a little bit crazy and stuff. The stream service, back to that, I should say, I think it's going to be interesting to see how that one works. I can't quite remember if they gave a price for that or not. They probably did, but I can't quite remember. I think you can get it free if you already have an Xbox One. I think, I'm not quite sure on that, so don't hold me to it, but I do know the new streaming service is coming out. One bright thing, though, I do find in this press conference's information is the Xbox games already released for the Xbox One, which this was one of my main thoughts when they announced its release, was what's going to happen to a lot of these older games, because I have an Xbox One myself, but I thought, what if I buy this, can I play any of those other Xbox One games on it? And I read somewhere, or heard somewhere, I think I read it somewhere, but they may have said in the press conference too, I'm not quite sure, that all current Xbox One games would be compatible with this. Plus, I believe the library of Xbox 360 games that were backwards compatible already as well, I believe they said were going to be compatible with this newer console as well. So that is definitely a bright thing, a bright side to it, because one of my thoughts is, and I'm sorry, but this really does bother me when you buy a new console and none of your other games will work for it. Now I understand if you're talking about and I know this doesn't make sense here, but if you're talking about PlayStation 3 versus a PlayStation 4, I can understand you won't have, you know, those games for the 3 available for the 4. But I'm thinking, since it's an Xbox One and you already have an Xbox One, I was thinking, I think they should be able to make it, but they did, and that does excite me a little bit there. So anyway, yeah, Xbox One definitely delivering, Microsoft definitely delivering new Xbox, and I'm sure a lot of people probably won't say they didn't see that coming, because I think they said they release new ones every few years or something. I know one time they said they told people not to expect one every other year or every year or something, but they just keep delivering on new Xboxes. So that definitely was a highlight at this year's E3. Now, of course, the next thing I want to talk about is, of course, you know, I have to get Nintendo involved in this, because, you know, I like Nintendo stuff. So I have to obviously talk about Nintendo, some of the latest projects for Nintendo. And the next one I actually did not expect myself talking about, really, but it is interesting, and I thought it's worth bringing up at this point in the game. The next one I actually like to talk about is an old game that's getting itself a third sequel in the game, Luigi's Mansion 3. It actually looks pretty interesting from what I saw. It has a lot of new features and everything. And the description said about Luigi and his pals going on vacation, I believe, to a hotel. Right there's Mario. That lady looks like a ghost dog. That's cool. This game's supposed to have a lot of new features, and it wouldn't surprise me if it's not supposed to be somewhat of an improvement on one or two of the mechanics from the first two games in the series. But yeah, I mean, it looks interesting. I didn't expect them to actually make a 3, because usually you make 1 and then usually you make 2 and then sometimes that's it, but they decided to go on with 3, which I'm pretty sure it's gonna be good, like either 2 or 1, but it's just, it kind of surprised me, and I'm sure a lot of people, sorry, I lost my train of thought, and I'm sure this game, and I'm hoping I picked it up right where I wanted to say it, but I'm sure this game's going to have a lot more improvements and a lot more features, and probably definitely a different story than the other two did. Like right there, Slam. There's one more I want to talk about here. I'm trying to see where it is. Not quite sure. I might have to fast forward this. And right there's definitely another feature that I think is probably interesting about it is Luigi, and I'm not quite sure. I mean, I didn't really see the trailer. I'm not quite sure what his purpose is, but I'm sure that's going to be a nice mechanic as well. I mean, if I would have to describe it, and this isn't trying to be obvious or funny here, but I'm thinking with this character, it gives you the opportunity to have an assist in. Gonna stop this here. An assist in different missions, and also probably the ability to split yourself into a ghost version of yourself to complete puzzles and different quests and stuff, and then I guess return back to your original body to continue and stuff. But from that one scene, it looks like you can go one way and your counterpart can go another. So it does seem like a nice mechanic, I think. And like I said, I didn't expect this to be at an E3 announcement for Nintendo, but I really think it adds probably nice. It probably is a nice addition to the franchise. So that will definitely be interesting to see another. Luigi's Mansion, and it does look like it has a lot of new features and everything. And Professor Egad's in it, so I'm sure Nintendo can't go wrong by making a third installment with your favorite nutty Nintendo professor being back in this game as well. The next highlight is a game that really, I guess, was really known before E3, but the next one I want to talk about is Mario Maker 2, which when I heard they announced that they were going to make a second one, I thought, are you serious? Because I honestly, guys, and I'm probably naive, but I did not expect them to actually make a sequel to Super Mario Maker. But it does, from what I see, look like a great addition to the game as well. It's supposed to have new mechanics, new enemies. I believe it also is supposed to have, I believe, Mario 3D World 2, 3D World, I believe, from the Wii and stuff. And I'm going to pause this. I don't want to use their game and stuff trailer in this video. But it looks like it has, a lot of new enemies, a lot of new mechanics you can do. I saw from the trailer as well, you can do power-ups, which is kind of nice because that kind of adds on to the game itself. Like, I think the cat power up was one they were showing, so that was kind of nice to see as well. Something else I saw, which when I read it, I didn't believe it, was, I believe, story mode, which when I first heard about it, I thought, I don't know why they need a story mode, but from seeing it and stuff, it looks kind of cool. I wouldn't necessarily say they need it, but I honestly have to say, for not necessarily probably needing it in the game, it looks like a cool mechanic and stuff, and I'll let you guys read more about it and stuff. I don't want to spoil anything for anyone that was like me that didn't know anything about it till closer to E3 and stuff. But like I said, this game was not really announced at E3, but I believe they are doing gameplays, Nintendo, for this game, so that's one reason why I wanted to bring it up and stuff. But yeah, it looked cool and stuff. New power-ups, new challenges and stuff, I believe. I think they even say you can do something with the goal post that you could not do in the last game, which I couldn't quite understand because I thought, well, it looks like you can do that anyway, but I wasn't sure, so that was kind of a new announcement in my opinion as well. But yeah, I think it definitely was a little bit of a shocker in a way for me to hear that they were going to have Super Mario Maker 2. But yet again, with Nintendo, anything is possible, and I think in a way this is a good idea, especially when you're moving it from the original release of the Wii to now the Switch, because originally, and a lot of people do know this, but originally it was on the Wii, but to have the sequel on the Switch, which I believe is doing better than the Wii is doing, definitely does make it a good candidate for that. And I believe they even said something about local and wireless competitive gameplay, cooperative gameplay, where I believe you can have people either locally or around the world help you complete a level or something, or do different stuff with levels, and that sounded kind of cool. I didn't really read into it but that sounded kind of cool, and that definitely does probably make this game a little bit more of an interest for the people, for anyone who played Super Mario Maker, the original, versus this one. So this is definitely going to be interesting when it's released. I believe June 28th it is, so that is definitely a game that if you haven't heard anything about yet, or interested in buying since you bought the original Super Mario Maker, I would probably suggest checking it out before you buy. But if you bought the original, I'm sure you probably want to get this one as well, because it sounds like it's an upgrade and it sounds like it has a lot more cool features than the original one did. And of course, the last one I want to talk about, which I say best for last, which I do apologize I could not find a better trailer for, is the new Google gaming system, Stadia, I believe it is. I do apologize if the name's not correct. I did try to find a better trailer, so I do apologize. But Google has announced that they want to get into the gaming industry, and they came out with a console that does not actually work like a normal console. Instead, you can easily just download games. I believe there's different services for either the pro or free version. It's a console where you don't have any disc. You just download games. I believe you have cloud. I'm sure you have cloud backup and stuff. I'm not quite sure on that, but it has either 4K or 8K streaming services, which I believe you have to pay for. And it also allows you the ability to stream and play at the same time with fans. So basically, in other words, it lets you play the game while you want to talk to your fans, let's say on YouTube or something. Basically, it's like streaming and letting your fans join in the fun as well. And it's a new gaming system that's supposed to be, I think, more of connecting gamers together than it is just a gamer playing solo or online. Globally, it allows more players to stream and play and invite people who are watching their streams to play along with them. It's, I think, supposed to be a console that lets players connect with each other. And interesting enough, Google's approach to this is you don't need a console, you don't need a disc or any of that. All you need is a Google device, like I guess the Chromebook or the Chromecast, and all you have to do, I guess, is download, or you just connect to their service on there, and you can play all these games and stuff. And I believe there is a monthly fee for certain features, but I believe they said there is a free version and a pro version membership for this game. So interesting enough, Google is getting in on the action, and they are doing it by creating their own console that I think is basically cloud ran. And like most of the other consoles, there's literally nothing but something you download on an already designed device by Google, and you can just play all these games. I mean, I'm not quite sure what the whole details are, and I didn't really get too much information on this. But from what I do know, it's it's supposed to be like a cloud-based platform, except you don't need any physical console and you don't need any physical disc. It's all done through cloud. It's all done virtually on a device already made by Google, which I believe is the Chromecast or the Chromebook or any of those other Chrome products. I believe they're going to make this available to. So it's definitely interesting to see how that one's going to play out. I mean, for me, it's not of any interest, but I'm sure for a lot of other fans, it will be of interest, probably for their streaming service. So this is definitely something I will probably keep an eye on, guys, because I'm not even sure how this really works, but I'm sure it's going to be an interest, and I'm sure Google's going to find a way to get in competition with Microsoft. And so, I mean, I'm sure they're going to have a real future competition with Sony and Microsoft over the future of the gaming industry. And to wrap up our E3 overall review, I want to end this episode by giving a big shout out to Microsoft, as they topped off their one press conference with a A1 celebrity and I do apologize if the name's not right. Uh, Keanu Reeves, I believe his name is. When they showed the highlights of him at the E3 conference and them announcing that he was there to speak on behalf of the upcoming game he was going to be part of, which was Cyberpunk's 2077. Having as a spokesperson for it, I thought it was a little peculiar, probably not really necessary, but having him there, I think, did put their presentation over the top, and having him there speaking on behalf of the upcoming game and actually being a main character in the game is actually probably a nice touch to an E3 2019 conference. So kudos to Microsoft for having him there speaking on behalf of their upcoming Cyberpunk 2077 game. Well, anyway, guys, this will do it for my highlights and my opinion and my review of this year's E3 2019 conference. All the videos you have seen, guys, and I forgot to mention at the beginning of the video, I do not own any of them. These are all trailers and official live footage, well, not really live footage, but pre-recorded footage from the E3 2019 conferences, and all this footage is owned by their prospective owners and rightful owners, and I do not own any of the footage. I did not make it. I did not do anything with it. I just borrowed it for fair use in my video to talk about some of the highlights and some of the stuff that happened at this year's E3. So please, I do not own any of it, guys. All rights go to their prospective owners. But anyway, guys, thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate each and every one of you. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Until then, guys, see ya.